You're listening to the Marketing Attractions Podcast. Conversations on how nonprofit attractions are increasing attendance and sharing their missions through marketing. Your hosts are Ryan Dick and Jenny Williams of Attend Media.
All right, Jenny, today's topic, exploring dynamic pricing for your institution.
Yeah, excited to talk about this topic. We've had some guests on before and kind of dabbled in a little bit, but today we'll dive a little bit deeper. I think everyone that I've worked with, talked with in the cultural attraction space is either already doing it or is doing a form of it in terms of variable pricing or is talking about doing it. So excited to bring in an expert to talk more.
Yeah, you're right. It's like something we've dabbled with. It's something that I know you see quite a bit with your clients. I know like maybe a couple of them are using dynamic pricing, and most of them that are not already on dynamic pricing, or at least talking about it. But I really want to attack this topic, like this big trend from a marketing perspective. And I think that's what we do on this podcast is like, you know, what's going on in the space and what does the marketing teams think about it? So as we do, we brought in a guest, an expert to help us navigate the world of dynamic pricing. I'm sure many of our audience has already heard of Diginex. They are the leader within the cultural attraction space about dynamic pricing. And we got the chief revenue officer. So Harry Thomaseeds is going to join us. Harry, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
All right. Yeah, absolutely. Give us like the 30, 60 second, spiel on Diginex.
Yeah, so just a little bit of background on Diginex. Diginex has been working with cultural attractions since 2014. And we're really known as the experts in this line of field. What we do is build customized and automated dynamic pricing solutions or algorithms for our clients. We work with over 130 organizations, and we're a global company. So we work in North America, the UK, Australia, and cultural attractions is a big part of what we do. We also do a lot of work in live entertainment as well. But the thing that makes us, I think, unique and what our clients really and why they like working with us is all of our solutions are driven by our team of PhD economists. So we have 9 PhD economists on staff who have expertise in pricing science. So they're really the ones who are responsible for developing the solutions that our clients use. And behind that, we have software developers, data analysts, and not necessarily something a lot of marketing people may not be super much in the details, but I think the economist team is something that really makes a difference in terms of implementing a dynamic pricing strategy, and that makes us unique. We also have a client success team that really works with our clients on a day-to-day basis, so it's not really a black box of dynamic pricing. And then the other thing that makes us unique is all of what our core deliverable is for our clients is to provide price recommendations for them on a daily basis. So every day we provide price recommendations for whatever is on sale, but our clients are still in control of accepting, rejecting, or overriding these prices. So that's a real key component. Typical revenue lift, depending on what a strategy is today, is we see anywhere from 5 to 20%, and then we're integrated with most of the leading ticketing systems today that most cultural institutions use, which is a really, really, really key component.
So Harry, help us out a little bit. That was a lot of info about what you guys do, but I actually want to pause for just a second and maybe help the audience who's not aware, like what is the difference between dynamic pricing and variable pricing? Because I think sometimes these get interchanged or they're used interchangeably and they're actually different. Yeah.
So that's a great question. So when we're talking to clients, there are really maybe three or four different strategies for pricing for cultural attraction. So the first one, of course, is static pricing, where prices don't change. Variable pricing does sometimes get confused with dynamic pricing. So variable pricing is where an organization may pick two or three static pricing tiers, whether it's peak or off peak. Friday through Sunday might be a different price than Monday through Thursday, or summer may be different than winter pricing. So seasonal pricing, that's really more of a variable price. So there's not is not necessarily being responsive to the market. It's not necessarily, looking at what's currently going on in the market, but it has some moderate variability. So with dynamic pricing, uh, in the truest sense of the form, like what Diginex does, is Diginex uses a lot of different factors and variables that go into the solution. So things like bringing in weather, what's going on with the weather right now, and that's going to impact maybe attendance, and that's going to impact pricing. When people are going onto your website, what does Google Analytics say? Where are they going? Are they making that purchase? Are they not making that purchase? So we look at things like that. So think about the data that we're bringing in and how is it being fully responsive to the market. And then from there, we provide price recommendations on a daily basis, to where variable pricing is typically more of a set it and forget it, and doesn't bring in any of the changes. And then the third thing is that it fully optimizes the online price as well as the walk-up price too, because with most of our clients, if not all of them, we're not only dynamically pricing the online price, but we're also dynamically pricing the day over the walk-up price.
Mm-hmm. I think that's kind of going back to a part that you said about, I guess every day you're kind of coming up with this new number, right? You got this team of experts, these PhD experts sitting back there, I'm sure with algorithms, not just a spreadsheet, crunching these numbers to decide what to serve in terms of that price. But you've got this daily approval. So everybody gets the ability to approve or reject that. If I'm sitting here thinking like, I guess walk us through what that looks like from the team that has to do this approval, because part of me would say like, oh my gosh, that's stressful. What if I miss a day? Like every single day now that I do this, I have to like have this confidence that I'm going to select, like I'm going to approve the right number. Like, how are you working on that with your clients? And when do they finally just let go and say, okay, just let it automate based on what you guys come up with?
So, I would say if any of our clients are listening to this today, most of them are on what we call auto accept. But the way the daily approval works, we have this portal called Seats, and they go into the portal, they can see, every day, or if we're doing different time slots, pricing that differently, they'll see whatever price recommendations we're recommending, and then they'll just click into the specific day, and they can look at what the price is today versus what we're recommending, and they can hit approve, they can hit reject, they can hit override, and then once they click the button, then it goes into a holding pattern, and then it will publish in the ticketing system. But I would say, Jenny, that once a client gets sufficiently comfortable with our recommendations, and that could be a week, it could be a month, could be a couple months, then they just go on to auto accept. They can always go into the portal. We always send them an alert of saying, here are your new prices. You can go in. But if they're on auto accept, then they will automatically update at the time that the client wants them to do that.
Yeah. And this is more, when you talk about the dynamic pricing and the bringing in weather and bringing in demand, right? It's more than just setting a price point 7 days out, and it's $30 7 days out, 31 6 days out, 32 5 days out, right? There's so much more going into how to come up with this price point. But then I think it probably also opens up this ability to have days that are maybe more affordable than just a flat rate. So someone who wouldn't come because they think they're priced out might now be able to look at a calendar and pick days that make sense for them to come.
You're going into an institution, organization saying, hey, we're going to change the price every day. Like, I'm thinking the marketing team's going, what? How are we supposed to sell that? Like, if this doesn't work, they're going to blame marketing, right? So I'm sure you've had this conversation a ton, Harry. Like, what's the conversation that you have to a marketing team that's raising their hand and saying, let's pump the brakes on this?
Yeah. So, when me or my team is in a meeting, we're in an initial introductory meeting, that's the number one question that comes up is like, the marketing team is like, are our guests going to absolutely freak out and abandon ship and be really, really mad at us? And so
pitchforks, torches at the gates, they're not buying tickets.
So a couple of things. One of the things we spend a lot of time on is what is the marketing message. And so most of our clients today, none of them call it dynamic pricing. Most of them will call it plan ahead pricing or pick your day, pick your price. And so typically with our cultural attraction clients, we'll start out at a lower price point and then we'll only go up. And so then they can make the marketing promise of, if you buy today, you are guaranteed the best price. And so,
so the price only goes up later in time, right?
Right. So we'll start at a lower price point. As it gets closer to the day, the price will, continue to increase. But then also the piece is, and I think you alluded to it, is still how is that communicated to the guest? So all of our clients have typically it's a calendar that shows a month out of pricing. So it could show on the 26th. If it's a full month that it's showing, it could show on the 26th that the price is $24.95, but on the 2 days out, it could be $34.95. I'm just making up these prices, but having that transparency to the guest and to having every day has a different price, and then message it as we want to have a broad array of price points. It be fully transparent to the guests, and you, the guest, will pick a day or a time that fits your budget and fits your schedule the best. And so even if a client or a guest says, you know what, I can only go on a Saturday or a Sunday just because of my family schedule. Well, maybe they were going to go on that, the 2 days out, Saturday or Sunday, but then they can look at maybe the next week or the week after that on a Saturday or Sunday, and it would probably be it'd be a lower price ticket. So it just, I think, empowers the guest to make the right decision for their budget and schedule. And so that's the message that our marketing folks really exude. And we spend a lot of time with them helping them with that.
All right. So I like the message or the kind of visual of like an airline calendar, right? Every day the price is a little bit different. Maybe that's a really good way to kind of differentiate between this dynamic versus variable pricing. Every day that it's different. You're telling me that today is always going to be the lowest price. So that enables the marketing team to use this language, plan ahead pricing. I love that phrase. Like that resonates with me. And then kind of looking at my notes here, going back to your process, you guys are looking at things like weather, the site behavior, the site traffic. That's part of like that magic pixie dust that's coming over this pricing schedule versus just set it and forget it, variable pricing, as you mentioned. The picture's coming a little bit clearer for me now.
Yeah. And so that marketing piece is, being super transparent, a lot of different price points, all those kind of things are super, super important. And the one thing too, is that, the reason that we're looking at prices and we're giving price recommendations every day for whatever is on sale is we think of a day as a unique event.
Mm.
So every day has it's like, this Saturday in on July 4th is going to be have completely different characteristics than this day in even July 10th. Every day is unique. And so we treat it that way. And that's why we price every day differently. And that's why different prices can be different.
So, Harry, we're recording this in September, and holiday campaigns or holiday events are on everyone's mind. It's right around the corner, right? I
Yeah.
think for a lot of the clients that we work with, their zoo lights or garden lights show is huge, right? The outdoor
Yes.
attractions, especially.
Yes.
So talk to us about how this works. Maybe if I've got not just my general admission, but
Yeah.
also special event pricing with VIP tickets and late night tickets. Like I've already got like all these different special ticket pricing. Like how would I integrate dynamic pricing into that?
Yeah, so it's so you make a great point. I know you guys had the Houston Zoo on recently. That's actually how we got started with them, is their holiday lights program. We also work with Morton Arboretum and my friend Vince over there. We started with them with their holiday lights program, and there's some different complexities within holiday lights programs, right? So there's things like everybody will book the first hour as opposed to late. So how do we kind of smooth out traffic and smooth out attendance? So with those kind of situations, number one, we'll look at the data. We'll probably help them come up with a strategy on, every hour or every half hour may have a different price, and we execute it that way. But we have found, and our clients have found, that it's a really good strategy to help smooth out attendance throughout the campaign, throughout the event, and maybe shifting some some attendance even from a Friday or Saturday or Sunday into Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday as well, because they'll be incentivized to go on those days. And even if you can, even get 10 or 15% of those folks to move into those non-peak days, that's going to provide a better customer experience or better guest experience for everyone involved. Just as a story on that, we had one of the clients we work with said that typically before we hired Diginex, we were typically getting 13 to 14,000 people during our holiday lights event on a Friday or Saturday, and none of our people were able to sit. They were always kind of frantic. And so when Diginex came on board, they noticed that, but they were completely sitting down and not doing a whole lot on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. But then in that first year of dynamic pricing, there was a little bit more relaxation on Saturday and Sunday, or Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but they were a lot busier. Their team was a lot busier on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday as well. So truly the attendance shifted because the guests had a lot more options on when to choose for their pricing. Again, what fits their budget, what fits their schedule. Can they make some adjustments and sacrifices to that?
Yeah, smoothing out traffic. I think that's what everyone's looking for in the holiday event specifically. One more question on this. So can I just do it like a one-time project if I wanted to just test it out for a holiday event? Is that something that people can do with you, or is it really like you're all in for all pricing year round?
No, that's a great question. Like with Morton Arboretum, they started with us with the holiday lights, and they're now doing general admission as well. And same with Houston Zoo. They contracted with us just to do their holiday lights, and then saw value in it for their general admission as well. And it's really different because with the like a holiday lights, an event like that, an exhibition, it's just a finite period of time. So there's a lot more urgency, a lot more capacity issues, things like that. Whereas general admission, it's a little bit of a different approach.
You're listening to the Marketing Attractions Podcast, conversations on how nonprofit attractions are increasing attendance and sharing their mission through marketing. Your hosts are Ryan Dick and Jenny Williams of Attend Media. Attend Media is a media planning and buying agency specializing in zoos, aquariums, gardens, and museums. For more information, please visit attend.media. Now, back to Ryan and Jenny.
All right, Harry. So all of this sounds great. The dynamic pricing idea, I'm assuming this is going to generate more revenue for the institution. And I know we're going to talk about that in a minute. But on the flip side, I'm thinking all you guys are doing is raising prices for the local zoo, the local botanical garden, making these cultural attractions less accessible to the entire community. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and a common question we get. So the truth of the matter is, if you think back to what I said before about, fitting, picking a day that fits your budget and schedule. The truth of the matter is when we engage with a client, one of the things that we do is, in essence, a pricing study for them, and we'll provide what we call start prices or on-sale prices. So for the most part, all those on-sale prices are much less than what a current static price is today. So for instance, if you're an institution where you have a static price or a variable price of $20 or $22, typically we may come in with our start prices at, let's say, $16 or $15. So all that's marketed with a plan ahead pricing and giving your guests an opportunity to buy a ticket that's less than what it was previously. It's just as it gets closer to the day, it's probably going to go above the current static price or variable price that you have today. So more days than not, there's going to be more opportunities for a guest to buy it for a less expensive price.
Got it. Okay, so I think that's key. It is not only just about raising prices, but you guys lower prices as well.
Yeah, we'll start at a lower price. Again, with plan ahead pricing, you're only taking the prices up, but because we're starting out at a lower price point, it gives a lot of runway to for an organization to take advantage of and a guest.
And then what about who's this for in terms of an institution, right? How much either ticketed revenue or total visitation do I need to warrant bringing this on as a new piece of software?
Yeah, I think in terms of kind of a benchmark that we talk about, it's really about, let's just talk in terms of general admission revenue. Typically anywhere, if you're at 5 million, 4 million, it's really kind of a no-brainer in terms of getting a really good ROI, return on investment, and 4 to 5 million in terms of general admission ticket revenue that Diginex would be in charge of pricing. 3 million, it's absolutely worth a conversation. And then in terms of special events like a holiday lights, maybe a little bit less than that as well, because the engagement that we're having wouldn't necessarily be for an entire year, but it would just be from, say, the on sale is in October through beginning of January. So, but that's that's really what we look at is what are we responsible for pricing, and then can we get a good return on investment for you? Because otherwise we won't get hired again if we can't.
Yeah. And then what about any restrictions around like ticketing platforms? Like, do you integrate with everyone? Is there some that you do, some that you
question.
don't?
So we pretty much integrate with everybody. And that's something that I think is really key to making a successful dynamic pricing implementation and execution uh, for the team. So we're integrated with Gateway, with Anchor, Ventrata, Viva Ticket, Ticketure, Tessitura, Alltrue, Acme, Rocket Res, Accesso, Sentiment. I mean, you name it, we're pretty Rocket Res. We're pretty well integrated. We're integrated with them, so that makes the conversation in terms of execution a lot easier. And they're all really great partners.
All right, Harry, let's talk about revenue. But I'm going to make a cheesy dad joke. Show me the money.
Yeah.
No, that's so lame. Okay. But yeah, I mean, this does sound like a little bit of a lift. And I say a little bit, a big lift for an institution.
Yeah.
Why would an institution do this? Can you share any numbers in terms of ROI lift?
Yeah. So I would think of it, maybe not a particular institution, but in terms of what a typical institution enjoys once they move to dynamic pricing is anywhere from 5 to 20%. Sometimes we've seen it more. But I think that's a good general estimate. So I think if you think about if your institution is $6 million that Diginex is pricing, even at 5%, that's a pretty good that's a pretty good potential lift on that and a pretty good ROI. So that's really how we think about things, and really there's some lift at the beginning, but hopefully with the automation and everything that we have, and the great integrations we have with the ticketing systems, that lift is pretty minimal for our clients. So I think that's how to really think in terms of the ROI. Think about number one, how much do you generate? What would Diginex be responsible for pricing? And typically, we also do an analysis for our clients ahead of time. We don't charge for this, where we can take some of their kind of high-level data of attendance by day, revenue by day, what the prices were, and do a retrospective analysis and say, this is what we think you would gain through dynamic pricing if you would have done this, say, in 2024. And so that's really helpful for organizations to have that internal conversation as well. And our economists do that analysis.
I also want to kind of just as a visitor, as a frequent visitor of cultural attractions, especially holiday light shows, I want to talk about the benefit of having somewhere to sit, like smoothing out that visitation.
Yeah.
I really like what you guys were saying there, because sometimes you go to these events and it's just jam packed,
Yeah. So I think, and that's again where I think we can really help organizations out, especially with these events, by having price differentiation by specific hour on a Saturday or a Friday or a Sunday. So typically we'll see where 5 o'clock maybe is more expensive than a 8 o'clock or something like that. So we're really motivating patrons to make their own choices and naturally migrate maybe to a less expensive time, but it just smooths things out. Or because you're using this kind of visual calendar, where you can also look at the different days and options and times to move to those days. And again, it's not going to happen with 100% of your clients, but even if it's 15%, 20%, where you can move them, it's just naturally going to move. So you're using pricing as a lever to smooth out attendance. All
right, Harry. Lots of good info. Let's wrap it up here with, what's the outlook? What is everyone expecting to happen in the next 5, 10, 15 years in terms of dynamic pricing? Is this going to be just the natural way that all ticketing is done for all events and institutions?
I think I'm hopeful that it will, that it's just going to be a natural way of doing business. I think the biggest hurdles that we've learned over the years is how do you communicate it? How do you make sure your patrons feel happy and engaged? by it, and but still, no money, no mission. And so we need to, I think every organization is really focused on, what are some different nuggets, what are some different edges that we have. And so this certainly is one of them, but also making sure that the institution is still a great one to go to and the value proposition is there as well. So, but I think, most organizations want agility, they want flexibility to make decisions. And just so they're comfortable with the way this is executed, I think that it is the way of the future. And, if 20% of organizations are doing it today, hopefully 100% of them will be doing it in 5 years.
Harry, awesome stuff here. How can people get in touch with you? You talked about offering some sort of back analysis so they can get a projection of what numbers would be. So if somebody wants to do that, what's the best way to engage with Diginex?
Yeah, just you can email me directly, and then I can either work with them directly or one of my sales team. My email address is HTOMASIDES at diginex.com, hthomascides at diginex.com. Just shoot me an email and we'll go from there.
Guys, that email is in the show notes. Harry, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Marketing Attractions Podcast. If you have a suggestion for a topic or would like to be a guest on the show, please visit our website at marketingattractionspodcast.com.